If you're hearing this song, you know I'm pissed. If you're an Xbox player, you're probably pissed too. I'm pissed because I'm an Xbox player. It seems like just yesterday was the last time this happened, but once again, it is the DLC time in the COD lifecycle, which means another month of me and you being pissed off and salty because we play an Xbox and we're gonna have to wait an entire another month to play this DLC pack. And in a month when we finally get to play it, it's not even gonna be special anymore because we're gonna have been seeing footage of it all month on the PS4, and the magic's gonna be all gone and everything will have worn off. No more excitement will be there, and we'll reluctantly download the DLC and jump into these playlists. You know, god damn it. Why does it have to be this way? Well, luckily for both of us, we're going to answer that today. Have you ever heard the expression, time is money? I'm sure you have, and if you have, what does that mean to you? Really think about it. Time is money. I mean, what does it actually mean when you think about it? Does it have a meaning, or is it just something you say because you've heard other people say it? I'm going to tell you what it means to Activision. I'm going to explain to you why time and money is such an important concept in business, and why businesses make so many decisions based around getting money in a certain amount of time. Exclusivity and timed exclusivity has been a controversial topic in video games for a couple of years now, especially when it comes to these Activision games, mainly COD and Destiny. Exclusivity causes split player bases, it causes console wars, generally just causes hard feelings on the part of me and you, the consumer, pitted against each other, both parties generally trying to say whose console is better and why, even though it's pretty generally known that the PS4 is better, specification-wise, and it's just got more people playing on it. But that's a whole nother video. Really doesn't matter though, because now it's 2018 and console wars are over. The gaming community is an inclusive place for everybody, and we do not discriminate or make judgments based on other people's decisions of what console they play on. 2018, no hate, no bigotry, we're all gonna hold hands around a campfire and get along, right? Well, unfortunately, whatever we, the player base, thinks about console wars and who's better and whatnot, it doesn't really matter because exclusivity is still around. And as Call of Duty fans, it affects every single one of us, whether in a good or bad way. As a PlayStation guy, you probably love exclusivity, obviously because you get to play all the DLC first. Myself, as an Xbox guy, I personally don't like it, especially right now, but honestly, I wasn't really a fan of it when it was in favor of Xbox either. I think it's always bad for the community no matter what. Right now, it is the last year of Activision's contract with Sony, saying that PS4 gets DLC first, but that doesn't mean that time DLC exclusivity is over. If I were a betting man, I would bet that Activision's agreement with Sony is either going to stay with Sony, or that same deal is going to go over and go back to Xbox. In any scenario, the least likely event to happen is that they're just going to stay neutral. But why is this? Why does it have to be this way, man? Why? Everyone's just going to jump the gun and say, money, 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 Activision's greedy, all that stuff. And yes, you're completely right, but have you ever wondered why it's so important for them to get this money now as soon as possible as opposed to later like they could just do? Well, here's the answer, so pay attention. The time value of money. The time value of money is one of the most important rules in all of business, financing, and investing. It's one of the biggest contributing factors in all decision making, and today I'm going to teach you exactly what it is and relate it back to PS4 and exclusivity with Activision and Call of Duty, and then give you some other real life examples, and you're going to walk away being a pro at this stuff. So, what is the time value of money? We can find this from our trusty friends over at Investopedia. The time value of money is the idea that money available at the present time is worth more than the same amount of money in the future due to its potential earning capacity. This core principle of finance holds that, provided money can earn interest, any amount of money is worth more the sooner it is received. So what this rule is saying is that if you're planning on investing money, then any amount of money that you can get, you should take now instead of taking in the future, because in the future, after investing it, it will have a higher value than it would if you were to just take the money in the future in the first place. Make sense? Maybe it does for some, maybe not. Let me give you an example. Let's say you won the lottery for $1 million, right? And you have two options. You could either take the $1 million all at once now, or you can take the $1 million plus an extra $50,000 for a total of $1,050,000 in 1 year. Which would you choose? Well, let's say you can invest that money for a 10% rate of return. So in scenario A, you would take the $1 million right now, invest it in 10%, and then in 1 year from now, you'd have $1,100,000. Or in scenario B, you could take the $1,050,000 in 1 year, and you do not invest it, and then in 1 year, you have exactly that, $1,050,000. When you put these two side by side, can you see which one is better and why? Of course you can, because finance is awesome, and these rules are rules to live by. why. And Activision, being a publicly traded company, surely lives by these rules, especially because their main primary goal is to make money for their shareholders and investors. So, back to the original question, why does Activision give PS4 timed exclusivity? Well, it's because they have a contract with Sony, we know this. And based on information that is available out there, and my own reasonableness as a person, since I do this for my day job after all, here's what I think that this contract might look like. The potential earnings for one DLC pack on the PS4 is probably somewhere around $15 million, and here's how I got to this number. Even though player count numbers are no longer available to us in the recent CODs, you could go on and tell by the leaderboards approximately how many people are playing per month, and for PlayStation 4 it's somewhere around 4 million people. Now, obviously you can't expect all 4 million of those people to buy the DLC, so let's say 1/4 of them buys the DLC, about 25%. So you would take your 4 million monthly unique logins and take only 25% of them, or 1/4, so 4 times 1/4 would equal 1 million people, and the price of the DLC is $14.99 a pop. So that would give you about $14,990,000 in DLC revenue for PlayStation. But we're not really concerned about PlayStation, we're actually going to be concerned about Xbox in this scenario, because what the contract says is that the content must be released for PlayStation first. So it's actually making Activision miss out on the revenue from Xbox coming in at the same time that it comes in on PlayStation, and PC too, but we're only going to use the consoles for this example. So anyway, use the same logic for Xbox, probably about 2 million logins per month on the Xbox. Maybe it's a little bit higher, but we'll just say 2 million for simplicity. Take 25% of those people, assuming that they'll buy the DLC, and you got about $7.5 million in earning potential for Xbox DLC revenue. Here's the problem with using current numbers though. This contract is almost 3 years old now, and it was originally negotiated probably sometime in 2014 or 2015. So what I think is a fair way to control for that is to take those monthly logins and up them, because we all know Call of Duty was a lot more popular 3 years ago than it is now. So I'm not going to go through all the math again, but I'll put the numbers up on the screen, and you can see that we bumped up the PS4 logins from 4 million to about 7 million, and the Xbox One logins from about 2 million to 5 million. After all, Xbox was a little bit more popular back then, and don't forget, the DLC exclusivity was in favor of Xbox at the time of this, so you gotta imagine that their numbers were much higher than they are now. Like I said, all these numbers are just estimates based on information that's available out there, but I'd be willing to bet that the real numbers look something pretty similar to this. So anyway, at the time that this contract was negotiated, the potential earning for one DLC month for Xbox One was probably somewhere around 18.5 million. So what does this mean? Well, it means that Sony is likely paying around $18 million a month to Activision in order to have exclusivity for 1 month early with the DLC. You take that number times 12 months, and you could probably estimate that the yearly payment from Sony to Activision is somewhere around $225 million. You might say to yourself, oh my god, Sony's paying Activision $225 million a year? That's a lot of money. Well, this is actually just chump change for Sony. If you look at sales trends for PS4 consoles worldwide, in the last 3 years, Sony sold over 55 million consoles. Let's say the average price of those was $350 each. That would mean in the last 4 years, they've made around $19 billion with a B just from selling consoles alone. So no, this is not a lot of money to Sony at all. And for them, it's worth it because it helps their standing in the marketplace, because people are going to switch from Xbox to PlayStation in order to play this DLC early. Most people play on PlayStation nowadays, so it's working. Even if you personally didn't switch, or if you've always played on PlayStation, there are many people who have switched consoles just for this reason alone. So it works out great for Sony. And for Activision, you don't even have to ask. For them, this is an amazing deal for them. As a multi-billion-dollar company, they're still earning an extra $225 million a year from their contract with Sony, which is a nice chunk of change for them. And the time value of money says they're taking that $18 million a month from Sony, plus the $26 million from the PS4 revenue, which comes out a month early, and investing it, because that's what the time value of money is all about. It's about investing and getting the money sooner so that you can make it turn into more money later. If they're taking the grand total of those two numbers added together and investing it at, say, 12% a year, which obviously is an unrealistic figure, but just hypothetically, if it was 12% per year, they would be making $700,000 extra in that month before the content even releases for Xbox or PC. It's a win-win for both parties unquestionably, and that is why timed exclusivity exists between Activision and Sony. Or maybe next year it'll be between Activision and Microsoft, who knows, but one thing is for sure, they are not going to leave any money on the table unless it's going to cause a huge uproar within the community, and right now the way things are, yeah, people are pissed off about it, but nobody is threatening to leave. The games aren't dying because of it. So as long as nothing drastic is happening, it's going to continue. It is what it is, man. Money talks. I sincerely hope you leave this video smarter than you came. Really, I mean that. For me, the best thing of knowing about how businesses work is that you can take those rules and principles and apply them to things that apply to you. And so for someone like me, and now someone like you who also understands it, when exclusivity is a thing, yeah, it sucks and we don't like it and we don't like having to wait if we're on the bad end of it, but even though we don't agree with it, we understand it, and that's what's important. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate all of your support. If you enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up as it really helps the channel out. If you're new and not subscribed, please do so for more astonishing gameplay commentary. And let me know what you think about timed exclusivity down in the comments below. I hope to see everyone here, whether new or old, on our next stream, and the best way to know when that's happening is to follow me on Twitter. The link is in the description, and that's gonna be it. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.